Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Rick and Morty, Rise of the Numbericons, the movie. And I actually really enjoyed this episode because it gets kind of meta and kind of riffs on like Star Wars and everything, but it does it very well, and I was just laughing and grinning throughout the whole thing. I loved their use of puns working very well, where I didn't really groan all the time at it, but I could definitely see how this would just be like, oh, they're just doing a Star Wars kind of rip-off thing, and not be that into it. I totally get that. This one would definitely be one where you're like, oh, okay, I kind of get it, and I'm into it, and other ones where it's like, this is stupid, fuck this episode. And the thing is, this focuses more on Morty and his teacher, and there's no Rick really throughout this. It just follows Ice-T, who is now Water Tea, and his whole kind of thing with the Alphabetrions and the Numbericons, and everything kind of going on with that. And I just really enjoyed how they did it. So we see that he gets back home. He's welcomed back by his father. He's given this Eye of Harmony thing. Let's see. It's inheriting this pendant. Well, see, they're like welcoming him back. They're like, hey, okay, you're good, you're good. But then they get attacked by the Numbericons, and his father is mortally wounded. But we find out that it was kind of in a different kind of time scale. Rather, it just kind of happened while the Numbericons were doing their shit. And he's given the Eye of Harmony and has to go find out what's kind of going on with this shit. And the thing is, there's letters and numbers on there, so he has to go to his old teacher, Mr. Goldenfold. Let me see. Am I saying that right? Yes. So we then shift over and we see that Morty's listening to some rap music, pretty much trying to get into the zone for the stuff, but of course this throws him off. The teacher's like, fuck that shit. Stop listening to that rap. He pretty much dismisses everybody early, and everyone's like grumbling, oh, Morty, I actually wanted to learn. It's like, all right, I can't tell if that's complete sarcasm or if they're actually being, like, serious. Me, I'm one of those ones that I actually do like to learn stuff. Now, granted, the school system's got its issues, all right? How that kind of learning is done can be up for debate. But I'm like one that's like, yeah, I like to learn. I like learning about math and everything. And he's like, screw that. You're like, he like dismisses everybody early to give Morty early detention. But then Water Tea pops in, wanting his help. He's like, oh, I know you didn't come in here without your homework and shit. And he had issues. He would do shit in class. And as we're going through and dealing with the kind of Star Wars kind of adventure, we get the just flashbacks of what was kind of going on, of the teacher helping him out, giving him the timing of 1, 2, 3, 4, and everything, so that way he could get his rap and his flow down, and he was supposed to thank him at the Grammys. But, and this was before the president was the governor, but the thing is he doesn't, and later on we learn that his father called him a disappointment and a number trader, and that's why he didn't do stuff with the math bit and thanking the math teacher, Mr. Goldenfold. So, they're kind of going around, they have to escape on the ship because the Numbericons are attacking, and he's able to decipher the stuff while dealing with the whole flashback thing and everything. We get that the Water Tea's sidekick is a P and decides to keep doing all this stuff about P's, giving us kind of a little bit more information on the Alphabetrions. They do have a force field of brackets, which that is kind of amazing. I love that they're able to do that kind of shit with like the numbers and everything. We can't penetrate the brackets and everything. It's like, that you kind of have to be into that kind of humor, and if you're not, that completely makes sense. Where you'd be like, "This fucking sucks," I evidently was the target audience for that kind of shit. I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is kind of cool to mash it up like this." Let's see here. We get this Sinistar 7, who's pretty much the opposite. We get Water Tea as pretty much like. We got the Kylo Ren, Rey kind of thing going on here. Her father is like the Emperor, and she's pretty much trying to appease him and everything and help him out with everything that's going on, and they're trying to find the one of harmony, and that's where it kind of gets a little bit nutty. It's a Pythagorean theorem. The teacher's able to decipher it and figure out that E10 is where they need to go, and that's kind of the place that's supposed to be where all of them are from. So they kind of get there, and it's like squiggle doodles and everything, and then of course we get the Ewok kind of thing, Morty commenting upon all this kind of stuff and everything. We see that Mr. Goldenfold fucks some of them, fucks one of them. We see that Water T and Sinistar 7 kind of get into a little bit of stuff as they're like trying to be like, yeah, fuck you, but they kind of want to deal with all this kind of stuff. She kind of goes off to try and utilize it, but Water T gets there as well. They have this kind of joint thing and figure out that it's all kind of one thing. But that's where we get the whole thing where this S dude was actually an 8, and then he jacks the power and becomes infinity, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, oh, here we go. Even though I could call with how it was kind of going down, he then kills the Emperor dude, gets the Numbericons, and they go to take on the homeworld of the Alphavetrions, and he's just blasting shit, being like, yeah, motherfucker, yeah! It's like, shit. So we see that she's the general, and she's not liking what's going on, and decides to go and help the other ones, help the uppercase and the lowercase ones. Water T and the rest kind of get there, and they're trying to kind of figure out what's going on, how to kind of like fight him. Let's see here. So they pretty much do another thing of like Get Swifty, except they like kind of rap and everything. Water T gets upgraded to Magma T, and they just like blast the shit out of him and utilize the Eye of Harmony, which was I/1 of Harmony, because that was left behind after Infinity was like, fuck yeah, baby. And Water T did threaten that he was going to shoot him in the dick, or at least the crotch region. And they kill his ass. And then, of course, Morty's got an appreciation for math and how it's kind of hard to teach people. And he goes to, like, do stuff, wants some more tests. Water T, Magma T now, turns in his homework, and Mr. Goldenfold pretty much is like graded it, and it's like an F. It's like, shit. And we get a thing at the end bringing in Ice Cube, which I think was kind of cool, as a Geometrion requesting help from them, as they then get the adventure titled Magma T and Ice Cube in Challenge of the Geometrions. And I'm just like, oh god, that's kind of cool that they were able to kind of do that. And granted, I could definitely see somebody doing like, this is just cameo shit, and that it really doesn't mean much. And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty much a cameo fest, but at least they did an interesting kind of turn on like a Star Wars riff, and they actually utilized what they were doing pretty effectively with like the various numbers. Like instead of Jesus Christ, there was like Jesus Christ or whatnot. I was just like, oh god, I loved how they were able to work the puns in well enough where it didn't make me auto-groan completely. And I liked kind of seeing the story kind of work out and having Morty being like, what the fuck's kind of going on here? It's a nice kind of step, because at first Morty would be like in over his head and like, oh shit, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but then he is like able to kind of call it out. We see his time with Rick has definitely given him different kind of perspectives, and seeing him by himself and dealing with this kind of weird, crazy-ass scenario was kind of cool. It's nice to see his growth and to see how he kind of handles this situation and what's going on, even though he's not the main character with what is happening. Instead, Water T and Sinistar 7, and then, of course, towards the end, Ice Cube bringing up the whole potential of another one. And I think it's nice to have one-off self-contained episodes where you just kind of fuck off and do shit and see how it works, because sometimes you can get some really crazy-ass scenarios that are just funny as fuck to see. I mean, some of the best South Parks did those with those episodes. And this one worked for me. And if it didn't work for you, I completely understand that. This is definitely a love it or hate it kind of thing. And maybe an in-between of like, I just didn't feel it. You know? You can have that kind of middle ground as well. But I really enjoyed this. I like the effective use of Ice-T and Ice Cube here, and just fucking doing kind of crazy ass shit of like alphabet people, numbers people, geometric people, all that kind of stuff, and kind of doing it with their own kind of riff on the different kind of mythical tropes that we've got and that we've seen used in Star Wars and those kind of stories and tales. I kind of like that. So, those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.